A thick metal door slides open, and the hallway goes silent. On the other side sits one of the most feared men in federal custody, a figure whose name once dominated headlines. Guards stand ready, radios clipped to their vests. This is ADX Florence, and behind each identical door is another name that changed law enforcement history. For a few seconds, all you hear is the click of locks and the low hum of the ventilation system. This is where the most dangerous prisoners in the U.S. live out their days under the tightest control the Bureau of Prisons can create. Many people imagine chaos or movie-style showdowns. The reality is colder and more controlled. ADX Florence, built in 1994, is the end of the line, the Alcatraz of the Rockies. It was designed to hold men considered too dangerous, too high-profile, or too escape-prone for any other federal prison. Every brick, door, and window is meant to prevent contact, planning, or riots. Among those housed here have been Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, who spent years sending deadly packages across the country, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the Mexican cartel leader who escaped high-security prisons twice in his home country before U.S. conviction, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, the Boston Marathon bomber, Ramzi Youssef, mastermind of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, and leaders of violent gangs and extremist groups. Each of these men is confined alone, their movement tracked to the second. How do they end up here? The Bureau of Prisons has a classification system. Inmates rated as highest security risk, due to escape attempts, violence inside prison, or the ability to command others even from behind bars, are recommended for Supermax custody. A committee reviews their files, incident reports, and intelligence before transferring them to ADX. Once there, every aspect of life is restricted, mail screened, phone calls limited, recreation alone, and constant surveillance. Daily life inside is a mix of extreme monotony and heavy tension. Inmates spend about 23 hours per day in cells measuring roughly 7 by 12 feet with poured concrete furniture. Meals arrive through a slot. The 1 hour of outdoor exercise happens in a concrete pen with a grated roof where the only view is a strip of sky. Guards escort prisoners one at a time, always shackled, always separated from others. Despite these measures, the atmosphere is charged. Each inmate carries a story of past violence, and staff know that a single slip could have consequences. During one tour, a group of new correctional officers was being shown the control room, banks of monitors, rows of buttons that open and close doors remotely. Suddenly a silent alarm flashed on one of the screens. A high-risk prisoner had jammed something into his food slot and was shouting at staff through the door. Two officers moved instantly down the corridor. The visitors were told to stand back. Cameras caught only the blinking red light and the locked steel doors as muffled voices echoed. The narrator's voice dropped. Even inside the most secure prison in the United States, tension can erupt without warning. The screen froze there, leaving viewers to wonder what would happen next in the cell of one of America's most dangerous prisoners. Red lights blinked above the control panel as officers hurried down the corridor toward the cell. The jammed food slot belonged to a man once known for orchestrating violence from thousands of miles away. He wasn't escaping, he was trying to get a guard's attention. Even in ADX Florence, where contact is nearly zero, frustration can boil over in small acts. The officers calmly ordered him to step back from the door. Another guard keyed a code into the panel, and the lock reset with a deep clunk. The red lights faded. Moments like this show how fragile the calm inside the Supermax can be. Most days are pure routine. At dawn, trays slide through steel slots. Each cell holds concrete furniture, a bed, a desk molded into the wall, a steel toilet sink unit. The only window is a sliver angled toward the sky so you can't see the horizon or other inmates. There's no general yard like in TV shows. Recreation happens alone in a high-walled pen about the size of a dog run. The Bureau of Prisons keeps a tight schedule known as administrative movement. If one inmate is being escorted down a hall in shackles, all others in that area are locked in. This prevents high-risk prisoners, terrorists, gang leaders, cartel bosses, from seeing or signaling each other. Even legal mail is screened for hidden codes. Phone calls are rare and monitored. Former inmates who have left ADX describe how the isolation works on the mind. They counted steps to measure the cell, talked to themselves just to hear a voice, or built routines like hundreds of push-ups to stay sane. Advocacy groups have used these accounts to argue that such conditions are a kind of psychological punishment beyond the sentence, yet for staff, the job is equally intense. Officers have to watch for self-harm, coded messages, or sudden outbursts from men who have nothing but time to think. A single mistake, an unlocked door, a misread signal, could put everyone at risk. As the camera crew moved past the reset cell, they were led to a row of coded doors. Behind them were some of the most infamous names in the country, but from the hallway it looked like any other high-security block: gray walls, harsh lights, silence. The warden spoke quietly for the microphone. This facility exists because some people can't be housed anywhere else. It's about control. Just then, a deeper alarm rumbled through the floor, different from the early warning. An officer's radio crackled, and the warden stopped mid-sentence. Something was happening on the far side of the unit. The camera swung to catch a flash of red light at the end of the corridor. The narrator's voice lowered. Even here, behind the strongest walls in America, a single sound can signal a shift no one expects. The screen faded, leaving viewers wondering what new incident had just begun inside ADX Florence. The low alarm thudded through the concrete like a heartbeat. Guards froze for half a second, then moved with practiced precision. "Unit Bravo, lock it down," a voice ordered over the radios. Doors that were already sealed clanked again as their bolts engaged. The visiting journalists were rushed to a safe alcove. Down the corridor, a red light pulsed at the far end of the unit. It wasn't a riot. There can't be riots at ADX Florence. It was a mental health emergency. One of the highest-risk prisoners had begun striking the wall of his cell after weeks of refusing to leave for his hour of recreation. A nurse and 2 officers prepared to enter, using a small door within the big door called a food port to check his condition. Even in America's most secure prison, these moments test every procedure. From behind their glass window the visitors could see how the team handled it. There were no shouted threats, no rush of shields like a movie. Each move was deliberate. The inmate finally backed away from the door, crouched in a corner. A mental health specialist knelt by the port to speak to him quietly while the officers stood by. Within minutes the pounding stopped. The red light faded. Later, in a conference room lined with security posters, the warden explained, "People think ADX is about punishment. It's really about control. That control can look harsh, 23 hours a day alone, but it's also about preventing violence, even self-violence. Every sound you heard has a meaning." The journalists then were shown a row of mail screening stations, computers decoding possible hidden messages in legal letters, and the case files of inmates whose names had been front-page news. Each file represented a human being who once commanded armies of followers.